everybody, welcome to my channel, and thank you for taking the time to come and be here with me, and make sure you like and subscribe and share and all that jazz. Today we're going to be talking about Kratom. I get a lot of questions about Kratom. It is my #1 viewed videos, and so I wanted to take the time to answer some questions and respond to some comments that I've been getting on my videos, especially the one where I have my son. First, let's talk about what is Kratom. Kratom is a tree, and it originates in Asia, all over Asia. And depending on where, sorry about the noise, I'm right near the highway. Depending on where it's grown, it will have certain properties. It is in the coffee family, and it has been used in herbal medicine for at least since the 19th century. And I've gotten, kind of mixed information about how long it's been used. One says like over 2,000 years, and in Malaysia, and then there's, so that's debatable. How long has it been used? I don't know, but it's been used for a long time. And it has some stimulant and some opiate properties, and it's used to bring relief from so many things, such as musculoskeletal pain. I'm looking down at my notes, by the way. Increased energy, depression, anxiety, sleep issues. It's used as a mood enhancer. It's actually used for coughs and diarrhea. It is used for intestinal infections and even deworming. You can find videos on the interwebs about it being used for Tourette's syndrome. There are people who have severe Tourette's, and they take this beautiful medicine and they can, assimilate into society without these uncomfortable effects of the Tourette's experience. And it also helps you focus. A big use is to help withdraw off of opiates or heroin. For me, it took the place of pharmaceutical opiates, and I've had so much relief from this plant. It's helped me go through surgery without having to take pharmaceutical opiates. It's helped me with depression. It's helped me with nerve and muscular pain. It's helped me with focus and anxiety. It is literally a lifesaver. I will tell you, I was in organ failure when I found it. I was suicidal. I was in so much pain. I was sick with Lyme and sick with mold and sick with parasites. This was about 5 years ago. And at the time I was married, and I was begging him to kill me because I couldn't kill myself, and I was in too much pain. I didn't know how to live. So obviously he wasn't going to kill me, although I'm sure he wanted to, which is why he's my ex-husband now. So of course he didn't kill me, like I was saying, and I prayed, and I told God and the universe, I said, you're going to bring me something immediately, or I'm going to kill myself because I cannot live in this much pain. I was living in the bathtub because it was the only relief I could get from my joints. I was smoking marijuana and taking it internally, which was actually, and it helps and it hurts, because when you have Lyme, cannabis, brain fart, cannabis actually kills Lyme. So when you're ingesting it, it can create a Herxheimer reaction, which is where the organ failure came in. So Kratom helped me with that. It did help me with diarrhea. And from the moment I took it, my life changed, and I'm so grateful for it. And that's why I advocate for it, and I want to educate you guys about it, because there's a lot of misinformation. The government is hell-bent on banning this plant. And as I have told you what it helps, I'm sure you can understand why. Because it would take the place of the pharmaceuticals, and that is a million gajillion billion dollar industry, and they don't want that. And they want us on drugs, and they want us shut off from the sunlight of God. They want us disconnected. They want us addicted and sick, you know? And so you have to check in your state to see if it is legal, because there are some states, I believe it's 17 states, it is not legal. So make sure that you check before you try to purchase. And there's not very much research done on it, again, because the FDA is just, it's so funny how they can just say, oh no, there's no uses for it, even though over in these other countries it's been shown and proved to help people. The FDA won't even study it. They won't even study it because they don't want us to find out about this beautiful plant. So again, that's why I advocate, and I hope you'll share this video so that other people can learn about Kratom as well. And feel free to ask any questions. So the big question is, or debate rather, is Kratom a drug? And to me, that really largely depends on what you classify as a drug. To me, plants are not drugs. Plants are medicine. They have been given to us to heal ourselves. They assimilate and help our biology. I mean, all the pharmaceuticals came from plant medicine, right? But you can't patent a plant. You can't patent a natural organism, right? You can only patent if it's been modified or messed with, and like that goes into GMO foods and all kinds of stuff like that. How Monsanto can own the seeds because they've modified the gene, right? So to me, the government doesn't want us to take this because, you know, it'll take away from the opiates that they're selling. So let me see. Now the side effects, right? Now when I say that I don't consider Kratom a drug, that doesn't mean that it doesn't have the same properties as drugs, right? As some pharmaceuticals. Like I said, this medicine, this beautiful plant medicine, does have opiate-like properties for those who are in pain. So it can become addictive. It's in the coffee family also. So just as coffee is addictive, so would this be. So I really urge anyone that is dealing with drug dependencies or in recovery to really sit and sit with yourself to make sure that you can do this. It is a slippery slope. As someone who was addicted to drugs and alcohol, I really was careful about making the decision to take Kratom. I realized that I was like, oh God, what if I get on it and then I get addicted and then blah, 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 I, go off the wall. Well, here's the fun thing about Kratom. It's really hard to overdose because, again, it just goes with our biology and it's intelligent. So when we ingest too much Kratom, it'll make you throw up. And I have done that. It happened mostly in the beginning when I first started to take Kratom. I don't have that issue anymore. I take 2 teaspoons 3 or 4 times a day, depending on what I have to do and depending on the amount of pain that I'm in, which really varies from day to day. So with it having opiate-like properties, with it having addictive properties, it is suggested that you take tolerance breaks. It's suggested you do 3 days on and 1 day off. And I personally don't do that. I've been taking Kratom, like I said, for about 5 or 6 years. So when I do come off of it, if I run out, say, or I can't find any, I do go through withdrawals, and they are unpleasant. I will experience headaches and irritability and anxiety and diarrhea. To me, it is worth the risk, because the benefit outweighs, my fear of it. And also, I have worked on the issues that brought me to drug abuse and alcohol abuse. And so I don't really have that tendency to want to get out of my experience. I love my experience. I've built a life I love living. I never imagined 5 years ago that I would be living the glorious life of joy and bliss that I am living now. I'm so grateful, so grateful, so grateful, right? So now that I've worked on my stuff, the addictive tendencies aren't really there. So as long as I keep emotionally stable, emotionally clean, energetically clean, as long as I create an environment where I feel loved and appreciated, then I don't really have that desire to check out. And if I do have that desire to check out, the first thing I do is look at, how am I living my life that's got me into a place where I want to get out of my body. So, in other videos, there's been a lot of comments about how it's addictive and how I'm pushing drugs and blah, 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 which, I mean, the fact that some of the followers have said that I'm pushing drugs is absolutely ridiculous. I'm not telling you to go do cocaine, you know what I mean? Although cocaine is a natural plant. So to me, if someone wants to take the raw form of it to treat their ADHD, then who am I? Also, I'm not in the business of telling people what they're supposed to do with their body. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, but, I know someone that died from it, or I know someone that got addicted to it, and so because they have these small experiences, which is very rare, then they just want it shut down. And here's the thing, anything can be addictive. If you have an addictive personality, work is addictive. Are we going to just tell everybody not to work because it causes addiction, and sometimes it even ruins families? If you look at Japanese culture, there's a whole, I don't know what it's called, but it's a whole thing on how Japanese men are committing suicide because they can't keep up with the amount of work that's expected. So to anyone who is saying, I'm pushing drugs, I really encourage you to challenge the indoctrination, right? And to look at your idea of what a drug is, and to look at why you think this is a drug, okay? To me, there's a difference between a drug and medicine. A drug is something that's been mixed with chemicals, that's been modified, and that usually causes a hell of a lot more problems than why you're taking it in the first place. Plant medicine is medicine. It actually heals. It doesn't just cover up an issue, it heals, right? So, also to speak on the dependency, there are natural supplements that can cause withdrawal. For example, I take lithium orotate for brain inflammation, and if I come off of that, I get like weird feelings in my body, and I have a withdrawal period that is not comfortable, really. So I think it's important to look at the indoctrination of us judging something just because it has like opiate properties as, oh, this is bad and addictive. There are a lot of things we put in our body that our body becomes used to, and thus if you remove them, you'll have withdrawal symptoms, So just use your discretion, and if you have a history of drug abuse, don't take it. Find something else. There are other options. This is just what works for me. What else? Let's see. I'm looking at my notes real quick. Okay. So yes, always wean off slowly. If you do take it for a long period of time, make sure you wean off slowly so that you can avoid the uncomfortable side effects. There are contraindications. Just like with anything you put in your body, there are certain things you're not going to want to mix it with. And number one is if you are taking pharmaceutical opiates, or if you're drinking alcohol, regularly, or even binging occasionally, do not take this medicine. Do not mix this plant with alcohol or pharmaceutical drugs. Do not mix it with other drugs such as cocaine or heroin. Now, if you read any reports about death related to Kratom, it is 100% always because they have mixed it with some sort of drug or something like that, and they've had a heart attack or something, like that has happened. But if you are responsible, then most of the time you won't have any problems. You do want to stay away from it if you are on medications that affect your liver. Our liver processes everything, so everything has to go through the liver. There are some pharmaceutical drugs and plants that are a little bit harder on our liver to break down. For example, Synthroid, if you take Synthroid, that is a medication for thyroid, and it is really difficult on the liver. So I wouldn't suggest taking it if you are on anything that affects your liver, or if you have issues with your liver. You really want to make sure to do your own research and be personally responsible. Don't just listen to me. Do your own research. If you are taking antidepressants, I suggest weaning off of them with a doctor, of course, before you begin taking Kratom. Just to be safe. There are people that do take antidepressants and take Kratom. In my experience, I didn't need to take both. Let's see. Now, what about strains? What if you do want to take Kratom? Where do you start, right? Well, we have Red Vein, which is made for peace of mind, for relaxing, for well-being. It's got sedative properties, so a lot of people take it at night to help them sleep. People take it for anxiety, like I said, it's the highest, it's the one that acts most like an opiate. So if you're in a lot of pain, you want to go with the red strains. There are some red strains that are not as sedative. They're, slightly energizing, but they're not a stimulant. It's going to always be more on the side of a sedative. And what's interesting about Kratom is it kind of has this opposite thing of other medications or drugs or herbs, where the more with other stuff, the more you take, the more effect you have. With Kratom, it's actually the opposite. If you take a lower dose, that's where you're going to have more of the energizing properties, and less sedation. And if you add more, it does make you more tired, but you're not going to have as much clarity and awakeness. So again, if you're taking it at night and you want to take a larger dose, you have to figure out the dose for yourself. I would start with 1 teaspoon and see how you do. It takes about 20 minutes to an hour to kick in, and then you can go from there, right? So some days I only take 1.5 teaspoons, and other days I take 2 teaspoons. You have to really figure this out for yourself, right? This is why we need studies done, so that we can have clear information, right? Because that makes it safe, right? So the Red Vein is calming, sedative, it relieves pain, brings a sense of well-being, and a peace of mind. The White Vein is going to be your stimulant. It's going to be a positive mood enhancer. It's going to help you with motivation and with concentration, focus, and stamina. So if you have a day where you got to get shit done, you want to go with your White Vein. Again, start with a small dose to see how you react, and then you can add more. And then there's the Green Vein, which brings alertness, focus, and a kind of get in the flow properties. It is a pain reliever without the sedation, and it helps people with social anxiety. So I personally enjoy Green Mangda. I order mine right now from Earth Kratom. They're amazing. I just can't say enough about them. Their quality is always, consistent, because sometimes you'll order from companies and one time it'll be good, and then, and that's just because they're not doing quality testing. You also want to order from a company that is doing quality testing, because if you get mold in your Kratom, or if they are mixing it, there are, companies out there that are trying to make a quick buck and use less medicine, so they're mixing it with things that are not healthy. So you really want to make sure that you're going with a company that does batch testing, quality testing, and has any certification. Always go with organic, because you don't want anything sprayed with chemicals. And so that is, let's see, is there anything else? I think that's pretty much the Kratom 101. And so one last thing, in response to the people who commented very negatively on the Kratom video with my son, who told me I was creepy, who told me he didn't want to be in the video and I was making him be in the video, and that I was using drugs in front of my kids, and that I am a horrible mother. People are so kind in the comments, right? So funny. I feel like none of them would say that to my face, but behind a keyboard, oh, how brave we get. So here's my response to that. My son has the experience of anxiety. That is generally how he is, and he did want to be in the video. He asked to be in the video. I didn't force him, and he's working on overcoming his anxiety. He's working on putting himself out there. He just got a Twitch, so he's working towards, building his own platform, and he had a little bit of a rough life in the beginning, so he's got some anxiety, and that's why when he's in videos sometimes he may seem a little reserved. But I made sure, because I am a good mother, I made sure to ask him, are you sure you want to be in the video? Are you sure you're okay with this? And the reason he wanted to do the video with me was because he wanted to really let people know that, hey, this helps my mom be a better mom. And I used to take opiates, and it didn't make me a better mom. It made me a horrible mom. It made me a horrible person. And I don't have any of those issues with Kratom. I'm not hopping around from store to store trying to get my fix. You know what I mean? So, so that's what I have to say about my son being in the video. And I just really challenge everyone who said such negative things. Is that how you would want to be treated and spoken to? It did hurt my feelings, because it's not who I am. I am not creepy. And I don't believe it's a drug. So to me, I was not including my son in a video about drugs. And again, if you feel that way, then I really challenge you to look at your indoctrination of what you think a drug is and where that concept comes from, and if it's true, because not everything we think is true, right? I could be wrong. That's why you got to do your own research and lean into your own experience, right? So hopefully I answered all of your questions and touched on the topics that everybody was interested in. If there's anything else that you want to know, feel free to contact me. You can post in the comments. However, I'll be honest, I'm not the best at getting back to comments. I'm working on it as I'm making more time for my channel. You can find me on Telegram under Jessica Lynn Ross, or you can join my channel on Telegram, which is Metaphysical Misfit. That's basically where you would see things that you would find on a Facebook story or Instagram story or Snapchat. You can message me on Vero. I just joined Vero, which is taking the place of my Instagram account, because fuck censorship and fuck lies and fuck Fuckerberg. And so that's also why I've come off of Facebook. So on Vero, Metaphysical Misfit, Jessica Lynn Ross. And you can always email me at metaphysicalmisfit@gmail.com. And I look forward to answering any questions that you have and furthering our conversation and just learning together. I hope everybody has a great day. Thank you so much for being here. Again, make sure you like, subscribe, and share so that we can reach more people and spread the love and get more people off of opiates, right? Because opiates are killing people, right? So I love you all. I hope you have a blessed day, and I'll see you next week.